So you may remember that I did a video on Labour MP Stella Creasy and how Stella thinks that feminism isn't about women, it's about power. And this is something that she is committed to, apparently. Well, she wants to make misogyny a hate crime. Stella Creasy wants to amend new legislation that would ban taking unsolicited pictures under someone's clothing. Her changes would mean that someone convicted of the crime could get a tougher sentence if it was motivated by misogyny. Now, the question is, how are they defining misogyny, which is a hatred of women, and how the hell are you going to know that someone took a picture up a woman's skirt because they hate women? Of course, feminists are going to say that any time someone does this, it's from a hatred of women. Now, I have no problem with the legislation to prevent people from taking pictures of women's skirts. Frankly, I can't believe it wasn't already illegal. The problem is, as I understand it, this legislation was blocked by, I think it was a Conservative lord, because of the way it was being passed, not because of the content of it. I don't see why they can't just get this passed as a regular bill, why they have to rush it through and try and evade procedure. Who is on the other side of this issue? And I really want to hear their arguments. I should be free to stick my phone under some woman's skirt and take a picture. I don't think you should be free to do that. I think that should be illegal. But I also don't think that we should tack on the misogyny as a hate crime legislation on the end of it. Obviously, I don't think misogyny should be a hate crime, because this is pure feminist ideology. What they define as misogyny is not what a regular non-feminist person would define as misogyny. In the same way as what they define as racism is not what the regular person defines as racism. Creasy's amendment to the draft law has been backed by MPs including former Education Secretary Nicky Morgan. See, now the people backing this, these are the ones you have to watch out for. When Jess Phillips in her book, Every Woman, wrote, "There's a sisterhood in the Parliament," what she's talking about is the feminist network in the British Parliament. And there is a feminist network in the British Parliament. Creasy's part of it, Phillips is part of it, Nicky Morgan is apparently part of it. These people are all operating to get feminist legislation passed and to install feminist ideology into British law. It's not like they haven't already been successful in many ways. For example, this was piloted by the Nottinghamshire Police, which has been recording misogynistic behaviour as either hate crime or hate incidents, depending on whether or not it's criminal. So it doesn't even matter if you're not committing a crime, they are going to police the things you apparently believe, whether you know you believe these things or not. Crimes like upskirting don't happen in a vacuum. Well, it wasn't a crime, actually. I think that's the problem. It's not criminal. And can these people not just be perverts? Do they have to hate women? Or can they just be pervs? They happen in a world where we don't see violence against women as a priority for action. Are you fucking kidding me? The idea that white women aren't prioritised is totally counter to reality. The classic example of this is when they're complaining that 1 in 4 people who commit suicide are female, so something needs to be done. What are the other 3 out of the 4? But they don't matter because they're not women. Where we tell young women not to walk around late at night as a way of staying safe, rather than those who hassle them and their behaviour is unacceptable. Yeah, I don't think we should be giving the responsibility to not rape to the rapists. I think they already know that it's not right, and yet they do it anyway. If they've got to the point where they are actually going to be a rapist, then they've already crossed the boundary where you can shame them or dictate to them what is and is not appropriate behaviour. Let's make it the rapist's responsibility not to rape. I don't think that's going to work. How did we get to define them as a rapist in the first place, Stella? A Ministry of Justice spokesman said of Miss Creasy's amendment, "We already have robust legislation that can be used to protect women from a range of crimes. We are determined to see the upskirting bill passed as soon as possible to better protect victims and bring offenders to justice." Bravo. There is no need for Stella Creasy's amendment. Why is she trying to push this on here? Because she is a feminist zealot. Because she wants to make this a feminist country. And who's going to benefit? Oh, white women. What's Stella Creasy? A white woman. So it turns out that Stella Creasy is acting purely in self-interest here. What a coincidence. Thankfully, there are women who think that this is pretty ridiculous, such as Naomi Fisht, I can't pronounce that, for the Times, who thinks that this is obnoxious but is not worthy of police time, and Julia Hartley-Brewer, who is bae. Making misogyny a hate crime is sinister and absurd, so why are Tory ministers so keen to support it? Because the Conservative Party is alt-Labour, They are not conservative, they are not liberal, they are basically socialists who wear blue rosettes. So I received a message from a young lady who claims to work in Parliament. Now, I can't reveal her name because she's asked to be anonymous, and I don't want to get her in trouble. But she says, "Dear Carl, I currently work for a Member of Parliament. Please keep my details anonymous, although I'm happy for this message to be read in a video if needed. I wanted to raise an issue that troubled me last week during a sitting of the House of Commons. As part of my role, I've been assisting my boss with the voyeurism bill, also known as upskirting. While this bill is in and of itself not a problem, I was somewhat alarmed by one of the amendments put forward. The specific amendment in question was put forward by Labour MP Stella Creasy, which would add misogyny as an aggregating factor, etc, etc. However, Creasy dropped her amendment and wants misogyny classed as a hate crime, just as offences motivated by hostility based on race, religion, trans identity, sexual orientation or disabilities already are. Luckily, the MP I work for also worked to get this amendment kicked into the long grass by the government, making misogyny a hate crime to the Law Commission for a fully funded review. While hopefully this will come to nothing, I am not confident that this will always remain the case. I am not on the same wing of the Conservative Party as Theresa May. Right, okay, so we have found a genuine Conservative lady, not a socialist, masquerading in Conservative clothes. And her authoritarian stances on issues have been frankly alarming. Therefore, I am not confident my own party would not bring such a law into being. Let's be honest, the Conservatives probably will. If Jeremy Corbyn thinks it's a good idea, Theresa May is going to do it, because Theresa May is, as far as I can tell, a Labour voter. Have we any evidence that Theresa May even voted for the Conservative Party? As for Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, I trust them even less, and with good reason. If you can hear noise, I'm sorry, I'm in Strasbourg at the moment, because I'm going to the EU in about an hour, and we're doing a press conference about Article 11 and Article 13. Busy times. I have been a consistent and vocal advocate against feminism and the left, something which did not make me popular in 2009 during my A-level politics classes. I could hardly stand idly by while a law was brought about that would unjustly penalise my father, partner, brothers, uncles and friends. Well, this lady sounds like she's responsible and has a sensible head on her shoulders. We are so lucky to have people like this even near Parliament at this point. Considering that hate crime is established by a self-identifying victim, anyone could be accused and prosecuted of such crime. I could not stand by. Very noble. Although I am a woman and this potential law would not directly affect me, it would affect people I care about in my country. I hope that by messaging you it will bring light to an issue that can be killed off before it starts to gain traction. Now, I wish I knew what I can actually do about this, other than make this video to help raise awareness of the fact that feminists are once more trying to enact legislation that would further cement feminism as part of British law. If anyone's got any suggestions, let me know, and I will happily do these things, because there is a cabal of feminists within the British government. They've got themselves elected, and now they're changing my country to suit their tastes, specifically to benefit them incidentally. And as you can see, this isn't something that is exactly widely appreciated by all women, regardless of who they are. As a conservative, this young lady obviously understands that feminism is Marxism with a pink sheen, and understandably is working against it. Bravo to her. You'd think that people like the Liberal Democrats and the centrist wing of Labour would also have an issue with this, but apparently not. Apparently they don't have any convictions, they don't have any moral fibre, and they have absolutely no backbone. But as I said, I don't know what else to do about this. So if anyone has any suggestions, leave them in the comments. I of course read them, and I'll do what I can. And wish me luck in Strasbourg.